insights. Remember, all my thoughts are opinions. It's not financial advice. It's important to do research, and this can be part of some research, but it's opinion based. Okay, let's get going.
We can get you in about 3 hours, maybe 4.
3 hours? Can't we?
And this happened to me just a month or two ago. Our car broke down and we had to wait 2 or 3 hours. This is exactly what happened.
Oh, this is insane. You can't wait that long. £500.
They didn't charge us, but it was part of an expensive insurance policy.
Your car breaking down should mean you have to have a breakdown. You know what's easier than this? RexQ, that's what. RexQ is a pay-as-you-go roadside assistance marketplace app, enabling the rescue of stranded motorists by qualified rescuers.
I think this makes complete sense. Why not open it up? There will be local people, I imagine, that will be all too familiar. In fact, the guy that picked me up was an 18-year-old child that they paid, I think, £10 an hour to do the job. But, you know, your insurance can be a lot more than that.
The app alerts nearby rescuers when somebody raises a request for help.
So it looks a bit like Uber or any other kind of on-demand service. As you can see, kind of, I guess it's geolocates drivers and matches them to people that are having problems. It looks like you can describe your problem out of fuel. So there you go. And there's a message bar, and there's also a rating system.
Those rescuers then share their quotes, and the customer is able to choose who to be rescued by based on the price, location, and their rating.
Right, so you can see that there's a rating system on both ends, similar to Uber and apps like that.
Competitive marketplace keeps prices fair and puts the customer in total control, so they can sit back and watch their savior make their way to them in real time. There are thousands of breakdowns on the UK's roads every day, but the roadside assistance market feels like it's stuck in the past. Nearly 50% of drivers with an annual breakdown cover never make a claim. That's more than £5,000 wasted in their driving lifetime. Why not just pay when something goes wrong? Until now, there hasn't been a real alternative to the big roadside assistance companies. You either have to pay for annual membership or go on a wild hunt on Google. We're changing the game in a major way by being the first to fix a real-world problem that affects millions of people every year.
I think it's a good point. I mean, I don't know the exact financials of how much we're paying on insurance, but I think it was somewhere in the region of £40 or £50 a year. And we've broken down only once in 6 years. So as you can see, that would be about £300. And if we just broke down and would paid for this on-demand service, it might have been £100. So we would have saved money, and we would have saved time because we waited around for a few hours. And you can rate the driver and stuff. So I think it's adding value kind of everywhere at each turn. Sorry, I can't mince my words here.
If we can take away a small share from the big roadside assistance companies, we can expand to countries like South Africa, India, Indonesia, where RexQ will truly thrive.
I agree with that. India and Indonesia are incredibly populated. Be interesting to see what they have in the pitch deck. But I do actually believe they can conquer a percentage of this market, just because if it's an on-demand service and you don't need the service, you're only going to pay when you need to. And plus, you choose the actual provider, so it makes a lot of sense.
We've already soft-launched the app and proven the concept by facilitating real-life rescues. We're now ready for a full launch and really push the app to new users with a major marketing drive. If you have no car and you want to get somewhere, use a taxi.
Like that Recoveroo.
app. If your car breaks down and you want to get somewhere, use RexQ. RexQ gets you moving.
Yeah, I like that logo as well. Okay, now we've seen that, I'm just going to read this as we normally do quickly. The big three are well-established brands, but they only offer annual membership cover. However, we believe there's a new industry, a pay-as-you-go type of service, facilitated through an app. Blah, 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 blah. Studies show that 44% of motorists never actually make a claim. So it's kind of echoing the things in the video. It's founded in 2018 and bootstrapped by co-founders. They released it in 2020. We now have active rescuers who are able to support. They're looking to raise funds for marketing, and of course, marketing does cost money. I know I've worked in marketing for over 10 years and now work for Meta for WhatsApp. So I think I can add value if there is anything on this deck about marketing. Now let's have a look. We'll do it in present mode. Here we go. RexQ, UK's first on-demand roadside assistance and breakdown recovery marketplace app, putting stranded motorists in touch with qualified independent breakdown providers. Gets you moving like that. Current offering, big three, well established. The threat, known across the industry as a new company that offers an on-demand, non-membership pay-as-you-go model. Pivot, none of the big three are able to pivot this threat due to their operating model and dependency on nationwide physical assets and staff. I agree. They're using a kind of decentralized model, which allows anyone to be able to do this. I would imagine they might need some kind of qualifications and whatnot, but it's kind of broadening it up. Alternative, motorists can continue to renew their membership despite nearly half of them never making a claim. Founders, insight through working for one of the largest roadside rescue companies, experience in delivering connected car solutions. That's good. The mission is to be the alternative, and the product is a marketplace app. It's already available on iOS and Android. It's been built from scratch using scalable, reliable, global computing infrastructure. I would assume that would be Google Maps, I would imagine. Maybe there's a marketplace API they're using. Looks good. In the UK, 1.8 billion. I guess that's the cost. There's 39 million cars, 40 million drivers, 32 million with breakdown cover, 8 million drivers without breakdown cover. So that's interesting. You got 8 million without and 32 million with, combined 40, as you can see. Like I wouldn't be surprised if quite a few people have been interested in this. Millennials, I think, the on-demand kind of generation, if you like, would be instantly keen. You can market to the people without cover, slightly different message. Get cover only when you need it. And drivers with breakdown cover, save on average X amount, whether it's £200 every 5 years or something like that. You can give $1 or £1 amount, and that can drive people in. So TAM, or target addressable market, 3.5 billion or 13 million, is that? Or 130 million or 0.13 billion is the addressable market in the UK. So the business model is they get commission, 20% is applied to the rescuer. Cancellation, for every cancellation there's a charge of £10 to the customer, £5 to the rescuer, and £5 to RexQ. So that's for, I guess that's a customer cancellation. £5 for the rescuer. Oh, that's if the rescue. Sorry, yeah, that's there's a charge of £10 to the customer. So £5 goes to rescuer and £5 to rescue. Okay, that's good. That's interesting. I think it might be more the other way around. I don't know if they explain if the rescuer cancels, what happens. So that's revenue source. E-commerce, a dropship e-commerce site. So they're going to sell products. They might not need to do that if the app takes off, but maybe as a bootstrap model to generate additional revenue, they may need to consider e-commerce, kind of in the first instance. Equally, advertising, they may need to do it, but if it takes off as an app, they might not need to go into that model. But it's additional revenue. Surge pricing, I think that's a really good idea. Although it might cause a bit of friction. They might not want to do it so soon. I think it would really depend on how many users they can onboard, because that's surge pricing. I didn't believe it came for Uber for a number of years until they had a lot of traction in the market. But anyway, let's look at the competition. I obviously don't know much about these. I've heard of a few of them. I'm not a driver myself. I'm an active Uber user. I basically keep them afloat. I'm looking to actually buy a car soon. Anyway, RexQ. Mobile first, it's the only one, as well as Drift and Honk in the US. Marketplace, it's the only marketplace. That's really interesting. Multiple bids, it's the only one. Pay as you go, there's a few that are pay as you go. Track Rescuer, there's a few. So there's a pay as you go angle. I suppose maybe with the other ones, it's not a marketplace, so you kind of get what you get, but it's a pay as you go model. Those that use apps like Airbnb and Uber and the kind of sharing economy will be used to that marketplace model. So if these consumers of Drift and Urgently and Honk ever have a bad experience, they may leave those companies and get pissed off. Whereas with RexQ, if they have a bad experience with a rescuer, then you can just get a new rescuer next time, or RexQ can maybe give a refund or something like that. So they actually retain the customer, I would imagine. Track Rescuer, so there's four apps can do that. Choose Rescuer, immediate cover. So that's the kind of Uber-like facility within the app, GPS tracking and Google Maps, etc. Immediate cover, 4 out of them do this. So I think the immediate strongest competitors look like Urgently and Honk. They look to have most of these covered. Personal and business, RexQ, but none of the others. Membership-based call center, so they're not offering that, which means it's a lighter model, it's lower cost for everyone basically. Smartest way to get roadside assistance for your vehicle: easy, fast, simple. In 6 clicks, the customer would have reported their issue and chosen the rescuer. So it's boom, 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 fast. The rescuer knows exactly where to go and what the problem is. Simple, relax and watch the rescuer make the way to your location in real time. This is a real problem because when we got rescued 3 months ago, we never knew where the person was. They fucked up, excuse my language, they messed up the pickup location. So we actually broke down in a service station and they got the wrong side of the road. Actually, first they got the wrong postcodes. They went to the wrong city, and then they went to the wrong side of the road. Now, if it's done with GPS tracking, that would solve that problem immediately. Value props. Number 1, it's on demand with no membership, upfront pricing with multiple bids. It's cashless, pay as you go. It's real-time tracking, and it's got a drop-down list of different problems. So that's great. You can see that it works. That's instantly recognizable from any platform. If you're either a seller or a buyer on Airbnb, Uber, etc., you get that. That's and I imagine Uber drivers might be one of the customers. There's, I think, over 40,000 in London. They may be on both sides. Actually, I'm sure if they break down, they may be interested in fast rescue service. It'll be a business expense. I'm sure the B2C market will be big as well, but I wonder if that is a kind of low friction market, maybe delivery drivers and Uber drivers. So this is their plan. They go to market plan, which is obviously what I specialize in for WhatsApp and Meta for my job. But anyway, 2018 to 2019, analysis and design, 2019 to 20, build and test, which is what they've already done. Soft launch and pilot, which is what they've done. And now they're looking to optimize onboarding rescuers and customers, which can be expensive, but let's see how they're doing it. Full launch, Q3 of 2022, which is the year of recording this video. The team, Yuri is the CEO, experience in IT and digital delivery, consulting background, agile. He's worked for some big companies, Accenture, RBS, etc. Direct Line. They got a CTO from Barclays, Daria, and Direct Line Group. I guess that's where they met each other. Ravi's in engineering, app and platform technology. And he's worked for Oracle, Sun Microsystems, and looks like they probably met as a group there because there's 3 of them from Direct Line. And Surendra, apologies if I'm pronouncing these names incorrectly. Is it Tanya and Pritap, app and platform delivery software? I guess they're the coding team using React, JavaScript, Java, and AWS. AWS is good. It's scalable kind of solutions. So there's no kind of agile and scalable as they grow. Investment sort is 150, and they're going to break down in terms of 35 engineers, 84 for marketing, my specialty, especially demand generation, which is exactly what they're going to be doing. 31 for running costs, working capital, etc. Okay, that makes sense. I think marketing is tough. They've got a strong proposition. They'll need to do a lot of test and learn. And I don't know how. I wonder if they go into how many rescuers they have on the platform. It's really important to have that supply of rescuers, and there have to be zero targeted on the areas they target, and it has to be based on their kind of rescuers, because you can't have rescuers based in Scotland and then people break down a lot in London and not have the rescuers there. An obvious simplified example, but there you go. Roadmap for the 150K. So let's have a look. They're focused on expanding on 2 fronts: marketing in 5 main locations: London, Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, and Newcastle. Well, if you think about it, it's only 16k per location, around 16k per location. So it's not a lot of money to do marketing if they're dividing it by 4. If they're dividing it by less, if they just choose 2 locations, they'd have 40,000 per location. So maybe like London and Birmingham are kind of have close proximity. Manchester and Liverpool, for example, have close proximity. So you might even be able to double up the amount of supply in terms of acquiring rescuers and also the demand. So I don't know if launching in 5 cities with this amount of money is necessarily the best route, but there are different ways to skin a cat or cut the pie. Maybe they may find a low CPA, cost per acquiring a customer or cost per acquiring a rescuer, and they may be able to scale to 5 cities. So that might generate more revenue and more reach, and people move cities and work in different cities anyway. So maybe 5 is a route that they are confident that they can deliver on. From my personal opinion, this is my opinion, not financial advice, but my opinion would be it might be better to look at kind of 2 or 3 locations first and scale that way. But anyway, let's look at their plan in detail. Q3 of this year, Facebook and Instagram marketing spend, the company I work for, expand marketing strategy to include PPC. So I guess that'd be paid search and Google, Microsoft, etc. Marketing strategy to include influencers. That's a good idea. Build dropship store on their platform. Build enterprise solution. I really think that Uber drivers would be, and delivery drivers would be a really strong segment for them, because I think they can build both. You have some Uber drivers that are mechanics. In fact, I was rescued by an Uber driver about 3 or 4 years ago in a friend's car when we broke down a few miles away at 1 a.m. I had 5% of battery on my phone, and we ordered an Uber. And by chance, the guy had a jack lead, and we were able to be saved by an Uber driver. So I think there will be Uber drivers that know cars very well, so they can be a rescuer. And of course, I think they may be like a B2B user of the app. And like I mentioned, there's 40,000 in London or thereabouts, Uber, Bolt drivers or whatnot. So I think if it were me, I would be thinking about that as a go-to-market before trying to launch a dropship store. Depending on the costs, maybe they could launch a store, for $1,000 or $2,000, and it doesn't cost that much. But if in my mind, if it costs 10 or 15,000 to do that, I'd probably want to do like a delivery driver or Uber driver campaign to get those guys, because I think there'd be a percentage of people that can do both. Just kind of building a market maybe around, as an option to build, to build your user base off that. Because of course, those people have friends and family, and every Uber driver you tell, plus they'll be able to tell people about it as well. So that might be an option maybe. Let's look at Q4. Expand the marketing strategy to include outdoor advertising. Outdoor advertising is very expensive. Yes, you get reach, but it is quite expensive. So they have to be a bit careful with that. I know I've done it. It's also very hard to track. Onboard expert rescuers. These are people that can do out of fuel, jump start, and flat tire. So they could do some specific marketing around that. Maybe thinking about ways of reaching kind of garages and things like that. Possibly. Q1 2023, expand marketing strategy to include exhibitions and radio. Exhibitions aren't that dear. Radio, I don't think it's that dear as well, but obviously you have to tie it back to their goals. Build advertising interface for the app. Again, I think there's quite an aggressive timeline to do that. I would have thought they'd still be ramping the platform in Q1 of 2023, and maybe for the whole of the 2023. But anyway, that's what they've got in this deck. Q2 2023, expand marketing strategy to include sponsorships and brand partnerships. They can do that. They can do that kind of throughout. I think they can be thinking about brands and sponsorships and whatnot. I think we'd have to be careful about customer experience, because it can muddy the waters of customer experience, and people will leave an app if they feel their experience is compromised. So there's that risk there. Build surge pricing. As I mentioned, people don't like surge pricing, so they have to be a bit careful about churning customers just for getting squeezing out a little bit of extra juice. So you have to think about that maybe. Finalizing a second round of investment. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Listen, I think all of this makes sense. I just think maybe it's quite an aggressive timeline. I think maybe they could probably extend each of these quarters could be 6 months maybe, or even a year potentially. If you think about expanding into, I think 2022 goals are completely fine, but I think building this advertising interface, you could definitely expand. They could probably wait to do that, and surge pricing, I think they could also wait to do that. I think the things they can't wait for is growing the number of users, growing the number of rescuers, and securing further rounds of investment. But listen, it sounds like they have a good software team, so I could be completely wrong in this respect. They may be able to build an advertising interface and a B2B side, etc. Very quickly. So let's have a look. Downloads so far, they've had 2,800 downloads, which is good. I want to see if they could break that out in terms of rescuers and potential rescuees. Don't know if they do. So this is, again, it's the future phase 1. 2023 is kind of UK. And then they're going to go into, I guess, is that Indonesia? It's kind of the APAC Indonesia type region. And then India, phase 3, phase 4. Is that Brazil, I guess, and America in 5. I think that makes sense, actually. I see a lot of go-to-market strategies that I think are slightly skewed towards things that probably wouldn't work. Just to give you some qualification here, I've done go-to-market strategy for over 10 years for companies like Travelex, Samsung, WhatsApp, Facebook, people like that. So I do have some credence here, Genpact, Finastra, different companies. So this is really what I specialize in, go-to-market and demand generation and marketing. So anyway, going back to their plan, I think it makes sense to focus on the UK. If they think about other populated countries that speak English, Nigeria is another one where they have a huge population that speak English. In Indonesia, they speak Tagalog, I think, and Bahasa. They don't speak English anyway. It's not widespread, so they have to think about the linguistic aspects of going to market and launching in another country. That costs a lot of money. If they think about English, India, not everybody speaks English in India, but there's still probably millions of people that speak English in India. So they could consider that. America, they speak English, obviously. So having that as phase 5, they might want to think about. But all of this is, I agree, I think can be decided later on, potentially. But I agree with the UK. I mean, I don't understand why they wouldn't do other English-speaking countries, maybe like Canada. Or maybe that's too difficult because of the geography of it, potentially. Nigeria, I think, could be something they could consider. Possibly. Stay in touch. Follow us on social media. I'm not quite sure what the house is there. I guess that's just the homepage, I guess. Instagram, they've got the direct numbers of the owners here, which is good. That's very open. They've got the Facebook page and Twitter. Got some appendices here, which I love, actually. They've got some detail here, which is really good. United Kingdom and global, 8.1 million drivers without breakdown cover. This is the UK, I believe. Average commission per rescue is only £12. I guess that's the rescuer. They can make a lot more money with this app. Value for drivers without breakdown cover is 97 mil. Targeted market share is 56%. Okay. 10.6 millennials and Gen Z drivers with breakdown cover. I think that's really good that they've broken that out because I think that is their target market. Again, it's £12 commission per rescue. Value for drivers with breakdown cover. Right. Targeted market share. I think it'd be really good to break it down like I did. Like if we were paying £50 a month for 6 years, it's £300. We did one rescue. We were in Sheffield and we went to London. I don't know how much that would cost. But I think it was about a 3-hour drive, and they dropped off our car, which was a complete write-off. It wasn't that we crashed; it was just some mechanical fault within the car, which was actually really dangerous. That we found out later on. The guy said we could have died on the motorway, so we were very lucky to my analysis skills I insisted on that we call recovery van, and he told us when we were there that we would have died on the motorway. So we got lucky there. Anyway, it's not about me, it's about them. So I think if they could break it down into kind of 5, 10, 20 years of expected cost for breakdown cover, and then, you know, one breakdown every 5 to 10 years, I think that would be a lot more, that would be quite helpful here, and also help visualize. I don't know if they do it. 1.54 billion cars in the world, 1.3 cars on the road, 292 million car breakdowns. Again, it's that £12 figure. Okay, they've got the millions here, £71 million. Is that the expected revenue? Not sure. What else have we got? It's got some references and assumptions. I think this is good to have. I can't click on these. I'm sharing my screen, but I think that would be useful to go through. So they've said that they're going to be seeking 600 in 2023. It'd be good to see the assumptions that, you know, on what that's based on. I don't know if it'd be also from a marketing perspective, because this is so much based on acquiring customers and rescuers. It'd be good to see some breakdowns of that. Okay. I'm not quite sure what SORN stands for, to be honest, in this last bit. 6.47% SORN. Not sure what that is. Oh, statutory off-road notification. Okay. That's, I think, a write-off. Is that a write-off? I'm not quite sure what that is. Anywho, as you can see, my knowledge of cars is limited. I just know about marketing, go-to-market, maybe a bit about business analysis. That's the end of that deck. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and give my opinion. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I have been investing since 2007, and I've been investing in startups since 2019. I've invested in 75 startups as an angel investor. So that's me. What do I think about RexQ? I think there's a lot of positives. I think it's a good name. I think it's good branding. I think it looks like they've got a good app. I haven't downloaded it. All the analysis I've done is based off this 27 minutes. So obviously it's my first impression, but I think it's great. I think that the world needs something like this, like now, because it's not here, or it doesn't look like it's here. This marketplace, I think it could grow very much because they don't have a marketplace competitor. If they can nail customer acquisition, if they can nail rescuer acquisition, they can use that money conservatively. They need to be razor sharp with marketing. They need to make sure that their paid social, they don't burn money on paid social and paid search. I'm inviting the team, if they want to get in touch with me. It's what I specialize in. Happy to help, even as an advisor, whatever. There you go, a little plug there. But they need to get that right. They need to get the right person, the right people. It's easy to, it's a bit like poker. It's easy to learn the basics. It's hard to master. Marketing, digital advertising is a lot like investing, actually. It's about applying capital in the best way to get the best bang for buck, best return on investment. Anyway, that's what I think the key is going to be. Can they launch effectively? Can they get enough rescuers in each city? Can they do it at the lowest cost? Can they keep the customers as well? They don't want churn. And I think the risk factors of these surge prices might piss people off a little bit, so they have to be a bit careful with that. And they need to be careful about outdoor advertising. It's incredibly expensive. It can be up to $2,000 a week for one advert in one small area. So they might want to look at more kind of guerrilla marketing, where they can do low cost outdoor advertising or low cost local advertising, and pinpoint the right demographics, the right target people, and grow that way. Let's have a look at the valuation. The valuation is pretty low. It's only 1.2 million. They didn't mention the revenue. I assume they're pre-revenue. So it's got obviously quite high upside if it can get traction. They didn't talk. I don't think they talked about profit margins, gross or net. I think that would be good to know. They mentioned the cancellation fee. They would make £5 per cancellation. I don't know what percentage of cancellations there might be, maybe 1 in 100, but it'd be good to see some forecasts if they have them. Even if they're very vague, and I know they're kind of pre go to market, and they've only got 2,800 users. Again, that would be good to have that broken down between rescuers and potential rescuees. Yeah, and I think some forecasts would be good. I mean, if I did it and say they said there was 10 million millennials. If they captured 100,000 of those rescuers, and 1% spent this £5, so that's 1,000 times 5, which is 500k. That's 500k gross. If they had, I don't know, 100 grand of operating expenditure, that's 400,000 profit. That would be a forecast. I think it'd be something like that. This is just off the top of my head, but if they were able to capture, that kind of market, 100,000 millennials, and 1% of them, the trips were cancelled, £5, 500k revenue, 400, let's say net. They've got a small lean team at the moment, at least. They would be, let's say, if they're on a 20x valuation, they'd be valued at 8 mil, which would be about 6x what it is at the moment, something like that. Obviously, if they get to that and they start to get 100,000 users, they're going to be getting to the next round of funding, and their users will grow, and they could become a very big company. I'll leave it to you guys, the audience, to make that decision. It's not my decision to make, of course. It's just my opinion. But I do like it. It feels like it's unique-ish, and not many people are doing everything that they're doing. I like the fact that 3 of them are from Direct Line. I like the fact they know each other. I like the fact they've got direct experience in this kind of industry. I like the fact that they feel like they've got quite a strong software team already. They're already launched on iOS, and they're already launched on Android. So if you see this video, download it and let me know what you think. If you're a user, if you're an investor or interested investor, let me know what you think. If you're on the team for the business, feel free to comment on these videos. Other business owners and employees have. I'd love to hear feedback. If I've made any mistakes, keep me honest. If I've made any good points, let me know. I love making these videos. I've been restricted to post these videos on Crowdcube. They don't like me sharing my opinion and taking traffic away from Crowdcube. So I'm going to continue making these videos. Less people will probably see these videos and hear what I have to say and whatnot. So if you think there's any value in these videos, please share them with anybody that you think would value them. I know businesses in the past have shared them with their teams, and investors have shared them with fellow investors. So it'd be good to grow the channel organically as well, and through referrals. Like I say, some of the investment platforms don't like me sharing my opinions on their platforms for whatever reason. Anyway, I love making these videos, and knowledge is power, especially the right kind of knowledge, which I try to share on these videos. And progress is everything. I'll see you guys in the next upcoming video. Take care.